taken 5 seasons to get the band finally together. So let's find out what happens when Marvel's street level defenders find out that New York City is about to take a bath permanently. Let's go ahead and break down Season 1 of Netflix's The Defenders in this review. The synopsis on IMDb reads, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist team up to fight crime in New York City. That's a terrible synopsis. We can do better to explain the show, and we will. But first, before we do that, let's jump into my first impressions after watching Season 1 of The Defenders. First impressions, Iron Fist is still useless. At this point, I don't even believe that he actually punched the dragon in the heart to get the Iron Fist power. I think maybe somehow he stumbled upon a dead dragon and then he somehow accidentally got the power, because there's nothing that goes on in this character in his show the whole first season and now in The Defenders that makes me go, yeah, this guy could totally punch the heart out of a dragon. I'm not buying it. I want to know what's going on with Iron Fist and how he actually got that thing, because at this point I'm like, there's no way this kid, this whiny little kid, this impetulant man-child was able to punch a dragon in the heart to get this Iron Fist power. I'm not buying it. First impression, Jessica Jones. Now, while I didn't really care so much for the first season of Jessica Jones on Netflix, I will say that this version of her in The Defenders, hands down my favorite character this season. I loved her humor, I loved her attitude, she was on a mission, she had a job to do, and she was going to do that job. It was great. She was my favorite character. Loved Jessica Jones in The Defenders. So hopefully Season 2 of Jessica Jones kind of pulls out some of the performance that we got in this show, because in this show, hands down, such an improvement. Very happy. Nice work. First impression of Daredevil. Now, I was really happy to see that almost immediately he starts with having those philosophical conversations with his priest again. That was my favorite aspect of Daredevil Season 1, was they would sit down and they would just wax poetic about good versus evil, man's relationship with God and how God judges the heart of man, not the actions of man, what makes a hero, what makes a villain. I loved them exploring all of these philosophical concepts and ideas about good versus evil in the first season. So I was really happy when we start off with Matt Murdock visiting the priest to do a confessional and also talk a little bit about what's going on in his life and where he is emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Great job there. First impression for Daredevil, killed it. First impression of Luke Cage. Such an improvement from his show, from Luke Cage Season 1. Dramatic improvement. I felt he was a little too dimensional in his show. He was just kind of like, he is this kind of cardboard version of himself. But in The Defenders, he was a fully formed 3-dimensional character, and I was so happy with the performance I got from Luke Cage. I think his performance, while I enjoyed Jessica Jones coming into her persona a little more, I feel like the Luke Cage character, Mike Coulter, did such a great job really developing and becoming Luke Cage in The Defenders. His humor, he had a human side to him. He wasn't just this man on a mission. There was a real, there was a warmth about him at times, and then there was also that street toughness that we've come to expect from Luke Cage. Just a really great performance. Very happy with the improvement on that character in particular. First impression of the extra characters, or ancillary characters, if you will. I was so happy to see Malcolm come back and Foggy. Now, Malcolm, you'll remember from Jessica Jones, she really helped his character through a lot in that first season, and so to see him come back and just kind of be that ride or die for her in her office as a private investigator was really cool. You can see that he's still kind of cleaned up his act, and he's not a junkie. So it's nice to see that progression forward for his character. Foggy as well. I'm super happy to see the progression forward for his character as a lawyer, but he's still got his boys back. He's still right there for Matt Murdock, and that was pretty awesome. And then all of the other characters that came in as well, I enjoyed seeing them back, but Malcolm and Foggy were my 2 main standouts. Also, as far as characters that were important, and not necessarily co-stars, but actually charging the front lines, if you will, Colleen Wing, very pleased with her role in The Defenders. She was probably one of my favorite things about the Iron Fist Season 1, was her role and her performance, especially when she was doing those cage fight matches. That was dope. So super happy that she was back for Defenders, and I was really happy as well about her role and how important her character is in this season. And then also Claire coming back as Night Nurse, just to kind of not necessarily be there to fix everybody's wounds, but to kind of help them through with other things that they're going through. If they needed an extra fist for a fight, if they needed someone to set off explosives, if they just needed someone to talk to about stuff, she was there. And even in Luke Cage's cases, if you need someone to relieve a little stress, she was there for that too. So really happy with Rosario Dawson's performance. I thought it was great first impressions for the Defenders. Overall, everybody who really stepped up to the plate for their role, they nailed it. It was a home run as far as I'm concerned. First impression of Elektra, or as she is referred to as the Black Sky. She was great. I mean, she was great in Daredevil Season 2. She is just as good, if not even more menacing and terrifying in the Defenders once she actually gets this supernatural superpower, and then she's also this brilliant ninja assassin. Also, side note, not really related, but kind of related, she is hot enough and crazy enough to be a future ex-girlfriend. I'm just saying. First impression of Madame Gao. I love Madame Gao. Madame Gao is legitimately my favorite character in all 6 seasons. Daredevil Season 1 all the way through the Defenders. I love her character so much. She does such a good job out of every character that's been on all of these shows. She is the one for me where I'm just like, give me more Madame Gao. Whenever she is on the screen, I am watching her. I'm like, what is she gonna do? There is so much patience and power in her character, and she just plays it perfectly. I love Madame Gao, and I'm hoping that we'll get to see a little bit more of her in future episodes of Netflix Defender shows. So fingers crossed. Okay, so I watched Season 1 of The Defenders twice this weekend, straight through. Both times I got a little bit more, and I got some of the questions I had answered in that second viewing. So let's go ahead and jump kind of into what I think are some of the high points for The Defenders Season 1 after my 2 viewings. So first, we have Iron Fist punching through Elektra's sword. That scene was great. Now you have Elektra and Daredevil fighting, and Daredevil is on the ropes. He's about to get TKO'd, and Iron Fist jumps in, lights up that fist, and then literally just punches right through the sword, just destroying the sword. I loved it. I thought that was great. Luke Cage and Jessica Jones actually showcasing their abilities and their strength when they fought the 3-hand leaders in that warehouse thing. I loved it. Luke Cage is getting pushed back. He picks up that pipe. He throws it over to Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones takes it and literally smacks Madame Gao with it. It was so crazy. That fight scene was great, especially when they like cut open the pipe and he's like, light it up, and then that dude with the sword sparks it and it turns into a giant flamethrower. That scene was great. And then we get to see Luke Cage coming in using his super strength and his unbreakable skin to like crush that pipe down. So, you know, the gas and the fire goes out and we don't need to worry about that aspect of the fight anymore. Such a great scene in particular. Every scene that Stick was in was great. My first holy cow moment was when they reveal that Stick is captured and Alexandra and Elektra are about to kill him, but he escapes by chopping off his own hand. Literally cuts his own hand off with a sword. Whoosh! And that's how he gets out of those handcuffs and like runs off to safety. Like, that was the first time where I was like, whoa! When I was watching the show, I was like, blew my mind. I was like, they really went there. Already in this show, the body count is super high. There's a lot of people that die in this show. There's a lot of explicit ways that they die as far as body parts are concerned. So, you know, fair warning there. It goes back to, you know, the brutality we saw in the Daredevil Season 1 and Season 2. So they definitely don't shy away from violence in this season of The Defenders at all. Can I just give a shout out real quick to the writers of this show? Because Iron Fist is literally useless. I don't know who thought that this Iron Fist is the immortal weapon. He's not. He's a key. Literally. His importance in his show is explained in The Defenders, and the explanation for his importance is he is a key. A key, just a regular key. You stick it in a lock, You unlock the door, you walk through the door. He's a key. He's not Iron Fist, the immortal weapon. He's Iron Fist, the key. I just don't like this character. The writers did such a great job, because at one point when they're at the table, he's like, stop treating me like a kid. And Daredevil's like, stop acting like a kid. I gave a slow clap. I was like, thank you. The writers know what my frustrations are with this character, and they just verbalized it for me. Thank you so much. Also, later on in the show, it's revealed that he still isn't over the death of his parents, and his whole character arc is a search for family, even though he kind of has found that family in the Defenders, and especially with Colleen. So I was really happy that the writers did what I needed them to do to make me understand this character. I still feel he's useless, but at least I understand the character now. He's not Iron Fist, the immortal weapon. He's Iron Fist, the key. Speaking of Iron Fist, the key, that whole scene towards the end of the season with him and Elektra, and how Elektra plays the mind game against him so brilliantly, that by not just combating him physically, she's also attacking him mentally enough that he doesn't even realize her whole purpose is just to get him to light up that fist so that she can use it as a key to open that door. Again, great job with the writing. Slow clap when that happened. I was like, this chick is bad. Now, you can't hit a home run every time. Statement of fact. There's going to be some slip-ups. You might have a goof here or there. So I just talked about some of the high points. So let's look at some of the questions I had as far as moments through season 1 that made me tilt my head to the side while looking at the TV and go, wait, what? So I think the big one is going to be at the end of the season. I think that was the biggest question for me, is when we find out that Daredevil's still alive, does that mean Madame Gao somehow survived? And does that mean Elektra somehow survived? Who took him to what looks like a Catholic hospital to recover from all of his injuries and his wounds? And how did they get out from underneath that building, which is so far underground? Like, there was a big question there for me at the end of that. They don't really explain it, but they do a lot of effort. They expel a lot of effort to make us understand how far into the earth they are at the end of the season in what appears to be a dragon corpse. So, the bones of a dragon anyway. So it's like, okay, if they were that far down and it was that crucial for Jessica Jones and Iron Fist and Luke Cage to take the elevator up as the only way to get out, so hopefully in the next season of Daredevil that gets explained, because I was like, what? Next is more in a line with Luke Cage, and the only reason this question popped into my head was because of what Claire says in this season when she's sitting there and she's talking about how Luke Cage, yes, he has unbreakable skin, but his innards are very normal. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Like, if he's taking these concussive hits from the leaders of the Hand, and he's, being thrown through buildings, and trash cans are being thrown out, like dumpster trash cans, not like a little house trash can or an office can, but like a dumpster. Like, all of these massive forces are hitting his body. Wouldn't that have a negative impact on his innards? And I was like, that's kind of weird. Maybe I'm just thinking too much about it. But I did have that question, but it was only because of that line where Claire says his innards are normal. So, yeah, hopefully we can get that resolved and we don't have to worry about those type of weird questions popping up in my head going forward. And finally, my biggest question was about the overall plot of season 1. So they use this blood, what appears to be dragon blood, I'm assuming based on the ending, whatever that fluid is that they extract from what I assume was the dragon bones, because it looked like dragon bones when they did that pan back to show like what looks like dragon wings. So we're assuming that it's dragon's blood or some kind of dragon juice. So when they bring Elektra back from the dead using the last of the dragon juice, they're talking about how they need more of it so that they can be immortal, because now Elektra's immortal. But they also talk about how they've already gone through the process once before. So doesn't that just negate like what you said? Like, isn't there like a big X now on it? Like, nope, can't do that. Like, I was like, wait a minute. If you've already gone through the ritual with the dragon blood or the dragon juice, whatever it is, wouldn't that make you immortal, since you just said that since Elektra did it, she's immortal? Like that was a huge question for me that did not get answered, at least from what I remember. And again, I watched it twice because I was like, wait, shouldn't they all be immortal if they've already gone through this ritual? Like, and then they just start dying off and getting killed, except for Madame Gao, my girl. Why do we care about Kunlun? Like, what is this city? They didn't show us the city at all in the first season of Iron Fist. They just keep mentioning it in the Defenders. Why do I care? Like, give me reasons. Like, Iron Fist was so poorly written that first season, and so many questions, so many plot holes, and the characters just were not good at all, except for Colleen, in my opinion. So why do I care about this hidden city? Like, what is great about it? And so hopefully, in the future episodes, they will actually kind of give us an idea, like a flashback or something. Show us the city. Show us what makes it great. Just stop saying it's great. Show me. It's a TV show. It's a visual medium. Show me greatness, please. So overall, what's my rating? Overall, I'd say this is definitely, you should watch. This is a must watch. Well, it's a should watch. I don't know if you must watch it, but you definitely should watch it. It's an entertaining show. It's 8 episodes, and I believe it's a self-sustained show. Now, even though there's 5 seasons leading up to this with Daredevil, Daredevil Season 2, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, you can still skip over those shows if you don't want to invest the time in using all of those hours just to watch the Defenders. I feel like the writers of this show did a really good job in explaining the characters in that first episode and partially in the second episode, and then also just kind of moving everything forward in my mind as far as like where people are right now in the story. So if you watch the other shows, that's cool. I don't think you need to though, because the first episode, part of the second episode, they'll catch you up to speed on who these people are. And if you watch those other episodes, all those other seasons, then you'll, in that first and part of the second episode, you'll get to see kind of where they progress forward from where you left them in their shows. You definitely should check out The Defenders. It's one of the best in the 6 seasons that are available, and it's probably second most entertaining to Daredevil Season 2. For me personally, I really enjoyed Daredevil Season 2. Yeah, definitely check it out. The writers did a great job answering questions I had from the other shows. The writers did a great job answering questions that popped up because of new dialogue and new story and canon in this season. Like, I just really enjoyed what happened in this show in eight episodes too. It wasn't 12 or 13. They condensed it, they got it done, they did their job, and they did it really well. Now, I am looking forward to future episodes with Daredevil. I'm looking forward to seeing what his story is going to be in Season 3. Jessica Jones, they've already started releasing set footage from that to show us kind of what's going on there. And the Purple Man is back, so, you know, we'll see what happens there because he died at the end of Season 1. So maybe it's flashbacks, maybe it's like the demon of him still tormenting her even after he's gone. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But if Jessica Jones Season 2 has the same Jessica Jones from Defenders, I'll be a happy guy. And then as far as Luke Cage and Iron Fist are concerned, I would much rather prefer a Heroes for Hire Season 1 instead of a Luke Cage Season 2 and an Iron Fist Season 2. Like, just give me those two guys together being the Heroes for Hire, the reluctant heroes who are basically just paid by the community to help keep crime out and keep the neighborhood safe, as well as some other things that come up too. I'm also excited to see what happens with Colleen Wing, because I really enjoyed her character from Iron Fist, and then I really enjoyed how her character was explored in the Defenders and how she actually grew into something much more important than just, you know, a trainer, a sidekick, or a love interest. Like, she really formed into a hero herself, and I thought that was really cool. And then also we've got Misty Knight. She lost her arm, so now we're finally gonna get the Misty Knight from the comic books that's got the one normal arm and then the one bionic arm. Obviously, you know, they're not really tying the cinematic universe in with the Netflix universe. So my theory, and this is just a theory, is that Rand Enterprises is actually going to be the one to build her the bionic arm instead of Stark Industries. You know, that could change because they did have Hammer technology in Luke Cage. So they still have crossed the streams a little bit with just mentions, but I'm leaning more towards the side of something like Rand Industries tech building the arm instead of Stark Industries for Iron Man's tech building her arm. So we'll have to wait and see with that, and I'm sure it'll get explained. It's one of the crucial aspects of her character in the comics, so why not explore it in the Netflix world? All right, that's it for this review of The Defenders Season 1 on Netflix. Overall, really enjoyed it. Definitely check it out. Like I said, I believe it's a self-sustained show, so you should be able to watch this without being confused as to who these characters are, because I feel they explain it out enough. So, Netflix, The Defenders Season 1, you are getting all the high fives. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget we have a brand new episode of Bernansky's Vlog dropping tomorrow and every Monday following. All right, take care everybody. Have a great Sunday.